All aboard! It's time for another math expedition, and I'm so glad you are joining me today as we solve problems together. And so thank you for being here. Have you ever played that game where you try and guess how many objects are in a jar? Maybe it was Skittles or jelly beans or whatever it might be, but all these objects are in there. Now I have different these stones, little jewels inside of this container, and I want to know how many are in there, and I can guess, right? That's called estimation, right? We're estimating, we're guessing how many things are in a certain container. So that's really fun. What if I did this though? What if I said, you know what? I'm going to take some out. Reach in there and I grab some and I say, all right, I took 4 of these out. Can you now know how many are inside of the jar? Well, I don't know how many there were to begin with, right? So we couldn't know exactly how many there were. But what if we did know how many there were? I bet you could solve that problem, and that's what we're doing today. So let's look at this. Inside of my secret treasure box, we have some ping pong balls. And I'll tell you, we have exactly 10 ping pong balls inside of the box. All right? So now that you know how many we're starting with, what happens if I take some out? Can you figure out how many are left inside without looking? I bet you can. I'm just going to reach. I'm not going to look either so that we can solve it together. All right? Okay, look, I've got 3. Now, I'm going to set that down, and I've got 3 ping pong balls here. So now remember we said we started with 10. So there was 10 inside, and now I've taken out 3. How many are remaining in that box? Let's see if you can solve this along with me. One of the ways we could solve it is we could say, hey, we could use a 10 frame, right? Because there were 10 objects to begin with in our box. And so if we draw out the 10 frame, and each one of these little circles represents one of those ping pong balls. Now we took 3 away. Remember that taking away or removing them away is the same thing as subtraction. That's the operation we want to use when we're writing this out, okay? So if I take 3 away from the 10 we started with, on our 10 frame, we could just mark those out and say, you know what? I have 1, 2, 3 in my hand, so they're no longer in that box. Well, how many are still remaining? And because we have this visual representation, we can just count up how many we have. Well, I know there's 5 along that top row, right? And let's keep counting from there. 6, 7. That must mean that there's 7 inside of our box. So 10 minus, how many did we take out? We took out 3. So we can write this as an equation, right? 10 minus 3 equals, we're saying that there must be 7 inside. You know what? I think we should check. Let's see if we were right. So if I set these over here, now we're going to pull them out. You ready? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's still some more. 5, 6, and 7. There were 7. We were right. You solved the problem. Great job, everybody. All right, guess what? I think we can do one more. Now, we solved that one using subtraction. Do you think we could solve it in another way? I think we could solve it using addition. Let's try. Okay, so I've put all the ping pong balls back inside our box. All right, and I'm going to reach in, I'm going to grab some out, and this time we're going to try and solve it a little bit differently. All right, now I'm still not going to look. I'm not going to look. I'm going to use 2 hands. Let's see if we can do this. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have 5 ping pong balls here. So how many must still be inside? I'm going to set these down, and let's see if we can solve this in a different way, all right? So we have a 10 frame again, but this time instead of subtracting from 10, because we know we started with 10, let's see if we can actually solve it with addition. Okay, so we have that 10 frame. How many are we starting with? How many did I have in my hands? We had 5, right? Okay, so we could fill in that 10 frame with 5 circles saying, hey, these are the 5 that we have in our hand. How many do we have to add on to 5 to make 10? Because we know that we had 10 in that box to start with. So that's what we're trying to get to, right? It's supposed to equal 10. Well, we can write this either with that 10 frame or with an equation and say 5 plus, if we add 5 more onto it, we know we're going to get to 10. 5 plus 5 equals 10. So we solved it one time with subtraction, we solved it a second time with addition. See, there's different ways of solving problems, and you guys are doing awesome. I'm so proud of your work today. So as you do this at home, you can create your own box. You could have a plastic sack that you could use, just fill in objects. You don't even have to use 10, it could be a different number. But keep learning and keep problem solving, and we'll see you again real soon.